Just try camping, said no one in my immediate friends or family. Hi, my name's Kelsey. I'm currently traveling around as a 25-year-old making videos about soul health, which embodies minimalism, physical and mental health, and adventure. Come join my crew on this journey of self-discovery, and without further ado, let's get into it. After leaving our beautiful Barbie Western dream house Airbnb,
and I'm bad like the Barbie. I'm a doll, but I still wanna party.
we headed for a day of hiking in Joshua Tree National Park. After getting into the park and paying the $30 entrance fee, we immediately drove in and saw so many Joshua trees. I was like, they were not kidding. And there were beautiful boulders, which people go rock climbing on. That's definitely on my list of things to try, but I recently went indoor rock climbing and fell from 10 feet. Anyway, I downloaded a few trails back at the Airbnb with Wi-Fi because as soon as you enter the park, there was no cell service. I used the app All Trails, which was pretty useful and super accurate when going through the walking trails of the national park. So we went in the first weekend of April, and silly old me thought it was gonna be hot. Being from the Northeast, I assumed California is always pretty warm and room temperature. And I was so excited to soak in the desert heat. But no, it was pretty windy, pretty chilly. A solid 55 degrees Fahrenheit, but felt like 50 with like 20-mile-per-hour winds. Didn't know wind could feel so cold. We managed to hike 10K anyway, so go us. Saw some old mines where they said not to go in because apparently bats live there, so did not want to disturb them. Just chillin'. I found a rock to see. Saw some brave people climbing up a slippery rock. And maybe if it was warmer, I would have joined them. But I was honestly just wanting to keep moving to stay warm. Should have done like a Joshua Tree National Park run. If only I had some trail running sneakers. Then as soon as we finished hiking, we hopped back into the car to drive to our campsite. But then it started hailing. Hailing. Luckily it didn't hail the whole time, and it was about a 30-minute ride to the campsite. So since I planned this trip kind of last minute, all the campsites inside Joshua Tree National Park were fully booked. Luckily, I found a website called HipCamp where you can book campsites on people's private property. And they also have things like glamping on there, which is really cool. I paid about $40 for the night for one spot on a campsite. So not bad. That's around how much you would pay inside a national park for a campsite. It also said they had facilities and it looked quite safe, so gave it a shot for my first time camping ever. So for this trip, I'd gone to Walmart about 2 days before leaving, and luckily Walmart had everything. I got one A-frame stargazing tent with a wind tarp, 2 sleeping mats and pads. I was debating between an air mattress, but I wanted the full camping on the floor, sleeping on the floor experience. Then I got 2 sleeping bags, which were good for cold temperatures because I knew the desert gets kind of cold. Not as cold as it actually got this night, but the sleeping bags were good for down to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And they were like fleece inside, which was so cozy. Then 2 memory foam pillows. Then 1 tent stake kit, which came with a hammer and extra stakes. All of that came down to about $280, which was not bad for 2 people. So when we arrived to our campsite, there was a guy to show us where to park, and we immediately started making that tent. It wasn't hailing, but it was freezing. The temperature was dropping and the wind was blowing and it started drizzling. Of course, when we decide to go to the desert, it flipping rains. Although in the Bible, I'm pretty sure in the desert people pray for rain to come. But we were not. Oh my gosh, I was scared that bird was gonna fly inside the apartment. Oh my gosh, I miss New York pigeons. Never thought I would say that. Ephraim and I setting it up together, it took less than 20 minutes. I think it would have been a lot faster, but we couldn't feel our hands. If I could figure out how to fingers are frozen. Afterwards, we didn't even tour the facilities. We hopped in the car and went straight to dinner. We were starving. We went into town, which was about a 10-minute drive, to a place called Snake Bites. It was super cool and grungy motorcycle cowboy western. I was definitely into it, as you can see from my face. Honestly, I was just happy to be warm. The vibe was great. There we had vegan tacos and chips with mac and cheese dip. We were not really in a hurry to go back to our cold tent, so we stopped in a diner called Three Bears. They were not kidding. We walked into this diner and it was all bear things. I thought this was just the cutest place. Our waiter literally went, "Our portions come in bear-sized." And they weren't kidding. We ordered just one slice of a cream pie, and they basically brought us a whole pie. Not complaining though, because for a cup of tea and a slice of pie, it was like $8. I was holding on to the heat of that teapot for dear life.
It's too much.
Then we arrived back to our campsite, which was really dark, and I had to brush my teeth. I was so cold, I didn't even change from my hiking clothes. I just went straight into my sleeping bag to go to sleep, or at least try to. Pillow, memory foam, and it's fleece inside, and these mattress pads from the top. Good night. It was kind of hard to fall asleep at first because the wind was blowing the rain tarp up against the tent. Here's how I felt the following morning. Roll clip.
Good morning. Survived the night without freezing. I can't feel my feet. It went really cold tonight. Below freezing. I was shivering at one point and the wind was slapping the tarp. And I think I'm so lucky to not catch hypothermia. And I did manage to sleep, although my back hurts a lot. But I could sleep anywhere. And I have proven that. That was an experience. And I think I heard a lot of animals throughout the night. I heard a bat flying.
Do you hear the coyotes?
So for breakfast, we probably would have eaten some snacks that we packed, but it was so cold that we went to a Starbucks. Nothing like a matcha oat milk latte and a warm chocolate chip cookie that just feeds the soul. What problem can't a chocolate chip cookie fix? Then it started warming up, thank God. So here's a tour of the campsite. There was about 20 spots for campers and tents to set up, which were pretty private because there were a bunch of bushes all around. Here's an ambulance, which I think was remade into a camper on the inside. The center of the site had huge water tanks for people to refill. I saw trampolines, so naturally, I had to.
Blessed Midwest, I am held by the forest where I go for rest and washed by the waters of Lake Michigan.
There was lots of places to chill and sit, which I think in the summer must get a lot of families and people hanging out here. So it would be cool to meet people around the campsite, sit, chat, talk around the bonfire. They also had a whole kitchen. So this is kind of like a glamping campsite. There was a full bathroom, which was decorated with all these antique things like the rest of the campsite. And it had a sink and a compost toilet, which was cool. Then there was a whole shower, which had a beautiful view of the mountains.
Remember their faces, remember their facing home.
And some optional glamping tents that you could rent out. Then it was finally time to pack down the tent. I gotta say, overall this experience was nice. The sleeping bag was good, but the temperature dropped below 25 degrees Fahrenheit over the night. I checked the weather, but I didn't process the weather. My back on those sleeping mats was no bueno, not good. Even though this wasn't really roughing it by adventurous standards, it made me want to go in deeper and maybe try camping in a more secluded place. And I want to try cooking my own food in the mountains. Seems like a vibe. So that's on my bucket list for these future videos. And I'm ready to take more steps into the wild.
Nature, books, music, love for one's neighbor. Such is my idea of happiness.
If you just subscribed, welcome to this crew. You are so loved and free to share this safe space with me. I make these videos trying new things to push myself as someone with ADHD and to learn about different places and people and have these new experiences. I appreciate hearing from you in the comments below, and stay tuned for the next video where we will road trip back to LA and pass through a dying sea, which beyond me lies a commonality of how the earth is coming to be. And if we don't stop our habits, we will soon need to flee. A poem by me, just Kelsey. Too much rhyming, I don't know, I'm cheesy. See ya.